Hello and welcome to It's Your Life Own It. I have with me here today Jeff Berger. I am so excited to have you back in the house, Jeff Berger and Nathaniel X Ross. We are here to talk to you today. It is June, believe it or not, and we are finishing up the first half of the year. Can you believe that?
It
It's
has gone by
crazy.
quickly.
It is, Jeffrey.
The year is going by so fast. I seems as we get older, it just whizzes right by us.
It just whizzes right by us. I think that is more because we're conscious of the time. We're conscious of how important things are in life. I think when we're younger, we're kind of carefree, whimsical. It doesn't
Sure.
matter. Time, we're not watching our time or anything like that. So I think that because our conscious level is so high, that we're more conscious of the time too. What are your thoughts, Nathaniel?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It seems that the older you get, the faster time moves. We know it's the same, but it seems as though it moves a lot faster.
And also too, we want to get a lot more done. We want to enjoy our life, but we also too want to make sure that, like with your nonprofit, we make a legacy. We leave a mark on the world, right? And we want to see
Absolutely.
it change for a better place. So we're in June. And June is one of the things that we celebrate in June is fatherhood. And so as we focus in the Own It magazine on specific topics each month, in order to raise our consciousness and our awareness and the importance of different topics, how they affect our life, how can they affect our careers or our business. And in this arena, we're talking about life. We're talking about personal, professional, and business development as it pertains to your life and your life goals. And that is Father's Day. Fathers are our point of focus in the month of June and the role that they play in our lives. It could be your natural father or someone took the father role for you in a form of mentorship, uncle, relative. But men really, really have a significant impact on our lives and how we turn out as people, right? And so I want to talk about some of the men, fathers, if you want to talk about your dads, how they influence your life. And I'll digress and I'll go last. We'll start with Jeff. Jeff hasn't been here for a minute. So, Jeff, would you share a little bit about either your father or a male who played a significant role in your life and how that influenced you?
Sure, I'd be happy to, and thanks. Yeah, so my dad was a huge influencer in my life. Excuse me. Um, he basically encouraged us to get out and do what we wanted to do, and was very, very supportive no matter what we chose. Obviously, we make mistakes along the way when we're kids, and he's there to kind of direct us. And I think, many kids talk about, well, I can't stand my parents, but you realize that I got a frog in my throat. Wow, excuse me. We come to realize that we appreciate after we get out of the house the love and the benefits that our parents were really trying to raise us to the best of their ability. And I so appreciate my father so much more after I got out of the house, realizing he was a true influencer to, pretty much where I am at today in my life. And I have to give credit to him. He's been gone 20, gosh, it's been 23 years. And, but he's still in the back of my head, in the forefront of my head, and always picking up those nuggets that he used to teach me. So, yeah, my dad was a big influencer in my life for sure.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. We're going to get on down to that. Nathaniel, talk to us about either your dad, your father, or someone who was significant in your life, that influence it had on your life.
Well, I probably am on the other end of the spectrum. Being raised in poverty and foster care system, but there were different people who stepped in at different points in my life that fulfilled that father role, that provided me that leadership and that guidance, and that completely turned my life around in terms of where I am and who I am today. So yes, that that is such an important role that the father plays. And um, if we look at a lot of problems that are in society today, it's because of the breakup of the family,
Yeah.
um, and the absenteeism of fathers in the household.
Wow. And yeah, and I don't think that intentionally we really address that, because it's a significant impact on the outcome of families. Not only families, there's a spillover effect, right? So it starts first in the household. We're not seeing the bigger picture here.
Mhm.
Starts first in the household, then it spills over into the streets, into our community, right? And then from the community, as our kids grow up, they're now in the workplace. And so it shows up in the workplace, right? It
Absolutely.
shows up in relationships and love relationships, and then it turns into being generational. So we're not seeing the huge impact that the absence of our men, our fathers, showing up as strong pillars in the community, with an awareness and a consciousness and an intent to show up inside their families, inside their
Yeah.
homes.
I'll share this. And some people look at it as something that's small and insignificant, but for me, it was extremely huge. I helped raise my nephew. He actually came to stay and live with me, and he was dating. Well, he dated a lot of young girls, as guys do, right? And he was dating this one young lady, and young people, they do a lot of horsing around and rough stuff. And one day I'm sitting in my car and he and his girlfriend are rough playing in front of the house, and he grabs her as if he's going to attack her, but they're playing. And I called him over to the car, and I slapped him. And he looked at me and he go, "Uncle, what is that for?" And I said, "Don't you ever let me see you put your hands on another woman." And he goes, "We were just playing." And I said, "That's not playing.
Mhm.
So get that out of your head." And he has never done that again.
Right.
And that seems like it's something that's insignificant, but it's really big
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
there's a lot of abuse that takes place in relationships. And it may start off with people playing and thinking that it's okay to force around like that. And then it evolves into it's okay to hit a woman. And it's
Mhm.
not.
Mm-mm.
But it takes a man in order to do that with his son, or in order to convey that message that it's not okay, and that's not something that a role that a woman can step in and do. We as men have to say and do things that a woman cannot do if she's a single mom raising boys.
Yeah. No. And it shouldn't be. That's not the role of the woman.
Yeah,
And that's where we get into trouble. So it's just like any kind of machinery, right? When one part fails to do its job, now the other parts are trying to take over, but they were not designed to do it. So even though the system is still functioning, even though the machinery is still functioning, it's not functioning properly.
Right.
um, and there's a lot of errors happening, right? And then one is getting burnt out. So if you look at our society today and you look at women today, women are beat down. Now they're talking about they don't want to wear the cape anymore, right? They don't want that superhero syndrome anymore. You know why? Because they're burnt out. They have been trying to fill the role of man and woman. And they have, over the generations where women used to be upright and that's, they knew that this is what they had to do, they did it. But the next generation and the next generation, they got burnt out. They're like, listen, mama, you did that, but I'm not doing that and I can't do it. And so now you got two parts of the system not working. And now you really got other parts of the system that are trying to work, because now you got both parents a little messed up, right? And so now you got a system that's working and our children are lost. So the topic of the month is this, and I didn't even think about it to this degree. It's last month we talked about motherhood because Mother's Day is in May. June is fatherhood, but it's mothers, fathers, it's influencing, impact, and the result, right? And then I went on to say empowering our young. We gotta get the top tier right so that the rest of the body can function properly. And that really, really, and I'm putting a mandate on men, is because you know, our men have to understand the ripple effect of that. And fathers, and doing my research, the Own It magazine, I sent it out to you guys last night for review. It's going out today to our subscribers. In doing my research in regards to the father's relationship with men, statistically, kids do much better academically when the father is involved. The hope is that the father is in the home and that it's a flourishing, solid family. However, even if that's not the case, and we can go down, we can talk about that because we got all month long to talk about it, because that's critically important for the mom and the dad to start getting it together. But even if that's not the case, and you have the dad involved, the kids do better academically. They're more respectable. They have a more higher core values, convictions. They have boundaries. Their identity, their literally their foundation is stronger. Their sustainability. We talk about our young people being anxious and stressed out. They're stressed out because of the instability of the home, right? And then I went into the studies of fathers and daughters. And do you know that the studies show that women show up more successfully on the job depending on the dynamics and the relationship that they have with their fathers? And so there is a huge uh, ripple effect and impact when fathers are showing up in the stability and the flourishing of their offspring.
Well,
Hey, Marissa, I want to add something to what you had said earlier regarding the kids today and the systems. When we were growing up, when I was a kid, our parents were allowed to discipline us, but today that is not allowed. Now, when it comes to spanking, so forth and so on, yeah, there's a limit to what you do with spanking. But I think that has been removed from the household, and these kids today take advantage of that, and they use that against their parents. And where the parents have no control, some parents have no control over their kids. And I've experienced this through my own brothers who have kids and who have dealt with the system where they can't discipline them and they're running the household. So I think that is another aspect that is a problem in today's society. And it spills over into the school systems, so forth and so on. And that is something that changed, I want to say, maybe 20 years ago. I don't have any children, but I hear this through talking with parents and their frustrations with the system not being able to discipline their kids.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so I have two comments on that. Um, the first one is going back to, we got to go back, and you hear me beat this drum over and over again.
Mhm.
We got to go back to men understanding that just because you are chronologically older does not make you a man.
Mhm.
We are born males, and someone has to, the father role is to teach a male son how to move into manhood. You don't just move into manhood, somebody teaches you how to move into manhood. And until we get that fundamentally right, we're going to have problems. because people are walking around like, I'm a man. Well, what makes you a man? Oh, I'm grown. Yeah, and your point is what? Right? So that's the number one point I wanted to make. The other is in terms of you rule the society is going to change. Kids are going to do what they are going to do because that's what they do. They're trying to establish themselves as their own entity, their own being. So they're going to test the rules. They're going to see what other people do, whether it's in the home or outside the home, and they're going to test it. They're going to push the limits as much as they can. I don't think as parents, and especially as fathers, that we can give in to that. And people go, well, you can't discipline your kid. And sure, you can discipline your kid. You may not be able to beat your kid, but when you spank your kid, because Jeffrey, I was raised that way too. We got spankings,
Sure.
and in school, if you got sent to the principal office, you got paddled.
Right.
So, and we turned out okay, right?
Exactly.
But
Absolutely.
but we as parents, we abuse that privilege, or we abuse that with our kids, so that with the right to do something comes responsibility, and we gave up that responsibility when we started abusing our children. So the government therefore stepped in, or society stepped in and stopped it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't release us from our responsibility of using our head to think, I can't do this, but what can I do? We should be able to outthink our kids in terms of getting the desired results that we want.
Yeah.
And,
Great
and, and
points.
speaking as a father, I know one of the hardest things I had to do was kick my daughter out of the house because she thought she was grown and that she could speak to me in any way that she wanted and she could do anything. And I said, are you grown? And she said, yes. And I was like, it's time for you to leave. And I packed her stuff up, put it in her car. Don't care where you go, don't care what you do. But if you're grown, it's now time for you to take care of you. And she came back 3 weeks later and apologized and moved back into the house and so forth. But it's incumbent upon us as parents and fathers to say no. What you can't do this. You
Yeah.
can't do a workaround.
Yeah. You hit on some critical things. It's called lifespan development, right? So when we talk about the adolescent stage and pre-adolescence, kids are trying, just like you said, Nathaniel, they're trying to come into their own. It's a natural part of the growing up process, and parents have to learn how to adjust their parenting as that child is developing because
Yes.
you can't have the same response. Another thing that we did was we didn't discipline with strategy and intent. We weren't conscious about disciplining. What we did was we disciplined because of bad behavior. And so we just, listen, we punished, right? But if you don't punish toward development, right? If you don't punish towards behavioral change in the sense that the child understands exactly what happened, what was not acceptable, truly acceptable, and why certain things are done. And so we threw the baby out kind of with the bathwater. It goes down to even chores. Back in the day, I grew up, I had a week of washing the dishes. My brother had a week of throwing out the garbage. Sometimes there was a week that somebody had to cook in the house. One of us had to cook, or we had to prepare a meal. What did these things do? They taught us life skills,
Right.
and they taught us how to manage our lives. And then they also taught us time management, commitment, discipline. We stopped doing that. We began to just punish because parents were frustrated. I know I experienced that with my mom. She was frustrated. She couldn't find something in the house, and who was in the house with her last? But the but the youngest child, me. So I got the brunt of her going off and having a conniption because she couldn't find her keys, or she couldn't find something. And so it wasn't discipline. So we stopped having conversations about the accountability and consequences. Why do you not need to do these certain things?
Yeah.
And we looked at it as we don't have to explain anything to you. Yeah, you do, because explaining is knowledge transferred, right? Knowing, understanding. How do we breed and support responsibility and maturity? Through knowledge and understanding. How do we transfer wisdom? Is through communication with our young people, with our kids. That's how we empower them. We empower them. I used to tell my daughters, listen, your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. But I told them, I was very transparent in saying, listen, I don't care what, you can have sex 10 ways a Sunday. I really don't care. Have yourself a good time. But you need a license for it. You need to have a license to do that. Right. And so I didn't take away and taboo sex. What I did was I normalized it and said, you can, but there's a time and a place for that. And when the time comes and the place is right, by all means, have a funky good time. The bed and the wife, the bed of the bridegroom and the wife and the husband is not defiled. Have a funky good time with that. You have to teach your children that things are not taboo in conversations. You have to have the difficult conversations with your children. But again, that groundedness and that authority comes from the fathers. As the head goes, so does the body.
Yep.
And parents have to have intentional conversations with each other about what are your expected results? What do you want to see as outcomes for your children? Not that you design it so it's your vision. Remember, your kids have their own vision for their life. They have their own desire for their life. So you have to have a general approach to setting the standards and the values and the core values and the traditions. I always say this. My slogan is "You are the CEO of your life. It's time to make executive decisions." And I say your children are your empire. If you want to call yourselves kings and queens, then you have a kingdom, and that kingdom is your family, right? That kingdom is family, and we have to wake up to, hey, what's the vision that we have for our family? What is the desire? And there is a form of redemption. You just gotta it's always about forgiveness. It's always about apologizing and saying, hey, this is all jacked up, but we have a fresh start now. You can
So
start over now.
you're right on point, and we're talking about different symptoms of the problem. The solution to this is personal growth and development.
Mhm.
And people need to grow, and they need to develop both professionally and personally, because everything is reflective. Who you are is reflective in everything that you do.
Mhm.
So we need to get people to understand that they're not okay, that they do need help, that they do have to stretch their mindset or change their mindset, then stretch it and grow it. And that's what life coaches are for. But like anything else, you got to find the right life coach to work with that's going to help you to put all that stuff into perspective. Um,
Yeah. So I know that Jeff has to hop off. So I want, before he leaves us, I want him to, summarize this. Let folks know how to make sure you let folks know how to get connected with you directly.
Sure. Thank you, Marissa. And Nate, it was really great sharing the stage with you today. Yeah, you can reach out to me. The scrolling banner has my contact information in there. I am all about gut health. I believe we should be living in abundance and optimum wellness physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And I'm really working with individuals who want to look at their physical and mental health as well as their financial awareness in regards to the digital currency movement that is happening now and where it is going in the future. So reach out to me with any questions. You can comment in the, after the video here. And please feel free to reach out to me. And thank you so much. It was an honor to share the stage with you all today.
And before he leaves, make sure, audience, that you get in touch with him, because what he, as far as the gut, mind, brain, and health and all that other good stuff, the reason why you see my energy levels the way that they are is I'm drinking that happy juice. And so please make sure that you reach out to Jeffrey for the happy juice. And also, there's something called focus. It helps your brain focus. And that's something else. That's another product that I use. So make sure you reach out to him. I'm not pitching this because, oh my God, we need to. No, I'm pitching it because I am living that. It has been highly effective for me and helping me to get my energy and my focus back and that high performance that I'm looking to show up in my life on a regular basis. So, Jeffrey, thank you so very much for being with us this morning. I truly miss you. Glad you're back.
Thank you, Marissa.
Good to
Take
see
care,
you,
Nate.
Jeff.
Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
So it's us, it's us, it's us, it's us. And so yeah, it's so important for us, and that's what It's Your Life, Own It is really all about. That's what this broadcast is really all about. It's about self-awareness, waking up to oneself and doing the assessment yourself to say and keep it real. Have a real conversation with yourself and say, look, I'm looking at my life and saying, do I like what I see? And it's not necessarily that you don't like all of what you see, but what are the areas that you're not happy with that are causing you to feel less fulfilled? And where do you begin to start getting those things back in order and start getting the results that you have? And you talked about life coaching. Talk to them about a little bit about what you do, Nathaniel, and how your organization can help some folks in our audience today.
Well, I'm a empowerment life coach, certified empowerment life coach, and I work with people in the financial arena, but also with from a holistic perspective of life, because otherwise you're living imbalanced. There's some people out there that's doing well in their finances, but they're doing horrible in their relationships,
Mhm.
or they're doing very well spiritually, but their health is in horrific condition. We need to live a balanced life. That's where your real wealth comes from, is living that balanced life. So my coaching practice is based around uh, a holistic living. Um, but I do a lot of focus with my nonprofit Abundance Legacy, and that's there to help people who truly don't have the financial means in order to get the services that the people who have money can afford to get.
Mhm.
So I do take on paying customers, but I also make sure that I take on people who cannot afford to pay, because we have a responsibility to give back to our community. So I do that through uh, the nonprofit Abundance Legacy, at abundancelegacy.org. Um,
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, because a lot of times, in order for you to get yourself back in alignment, even though it's an investment in yourself, having to have the money to pay for a life coach to really get the results you want can be expensive for someone who's already struggling financially. So, with your organization being able to offer services to kind of help them, therefore, that now there's no excuse. They just have to make sure they meet your requirements for
yeah.
sponsorship. And so, how can they get in touch with you?
The easiest way, just go to my website, www.abundancelegacy.org, and just email me or give me a phone call from there. I answer my own emails. Um, so there's no blockage to get, there's no gatekeeper to keep people from reaching me.
Yeah, yeah, for the moment.
But yeah.
When things start to blow up, we love to be available, but background, everyone is reaching out because there's such a high level of need for these services. Now, what I did take in notes when you were speaking earlier as we close out is self-awareness is awakening. It's an awakening. How awake, or how do they say woke, you want to be is dependent on you as the individual. How much more of an abundant life do you really want to live? Or do you want to continue to live in denial of it? You can live in denial, nobody's going to stop you. This is sovereignty. You can do whatever it is you want to do with your life. But once you become self-aware, when you start really, really having those needful self-talks with yourself and start assessing yourself, evaluating, um, self-development is up to you. Self-development, doing the work that is necessary is really up to you. Loving yourself is up to you. People may love you, but if you don't love yourself, that's going to be the biggest thing, because your level of openness, even to receive love, is based on how much you love yourself, right? And all how you have yourself healthy, well balanced, is just the level of how much you can actually really, really, truly, organically receive love in. And as you travel down that road of self-development, you begin to be able to see the triggers and the setups and the snares. And you don't necessarily have to respond the way that you used to respond, because through that self-development, you're learning how to navigate through life challenges a whole lot better, so that you can end up with the results that you want to have. We talked about fathers. We talked about their priceless impact on the outcome of their offspring. What are your closing remarks towards that, Nathaniel?
You get one life, and you need to choose how you're going to live or what you're going to do with that life. And you can choose to walk around and be a zombie and just exist, and whatever life happen to you, or you can choose to become aware and grow and develop, and you can make life happen. So, it all comes down to a choice. Life is about choices. What's yours?
It's about choices. And so we had a few of our viewers make comments, and we are going to be talking about this all month. So I know Lawrence Stokes talks about having challenges with his wife, and interfering with raising, disciplining, and I'm pretty sure things like that, because that's not something new. I've heard men say that before. You got, the wife or the partner got in the way. So as we go through the month, we'll address those additional comments as well. Janet Schuler, we're going to just say thank you for chiming in today. Lawrence, thank you for chiming in today, and some of our other viewers. But thank you for your comments. We really appreciate hearing feedback from the audience.
I got one more point before we shut off, Marissa. We have a men's group that meet on Thursdays from 7 to 8 p.m. Go to the website, register to become a part of it. We have frank, open, and honest conversations around spirituality, health, family, relationships, finances, community involvement, and continuous education. So all you men that are out there listening, and a lot of you males that are out there listening, call in and get into a men's conversation where we're having some frank discussions about issues and how to resolve them.
Awesome. Because that's what we need. We need results. We need resolution. We can identify problems all day. We can talk about symptoms, but the key is getting to resolution, because our kids, our young people, our men, they need to feel good about the results they're getting in their life. And I know that men, if their kids are not doing well, they cannot honestly feel good about that. So we want to make sure that we can get as much as we possibly can to get people to start feeling much better emotionally, mentally, and thriving in life instead of striving in life. That is our heartbeat. And so we're looking forward to next Monday, because we're going to talk about some of the issues and some of the comments that were brought up this week. We'll address them in our next show. So everyone, thank you so very much for being here today. We're so excited. We're at the top of the week. So take center stage and own it. It's up to you to start this week off strong and finish strong. Nothing can get in your way unless you allow it to. Take care. We're out.